Welcome back, everyone, to our After Action Report series on Advanced Tactics Gold, the scenario GD 1938. So since the last episode, a lot has happened. The world has really been shaken up. You can see our ending positions from last time. We have some really good control over our cities. Poland, this is France, but the three of us, the three players, we can respect that this is actually just Poland, it's not France. So, I mean, at least that's the way it is for me, that if these French forces do anything, it's in the name of Poland. I don't take it as anything against the French. And, I'm just assuming that that's how it's taken for the French as well. They are in control. They are the AI for Poland. And that's treated as a totally separate matter than their actual forces. So what else is going on? Well, a lot, actually. If I go over to the diplomacy screen, in fact, and we go over to Italy diplomacy, we can see that Italy has now entered the war with France, Great Britain, China, the Allies. Now, I'm going to try to give you the objective version of the events, and then I'll probably, hopefully without smearing it too much with my own opinion, but then I'll just tell you what I think of the whole matter after that anyway. So Italy was in the process of moving troops from, according to Rufus, he was moving troops between Italy and the Mediterranean, the African coastline. Obviously, in order to do this, he has to pass by Malta. You can also do strategic transfer, but you just as easily can also do the manual movement of troops. We can see that I'm also doing more or less the same thing. I decided to move two, I think maybe even one more of these guys, 3 units. I decided to move 3 units out of the east. But I also moved, I think, 1 or 2 more units. Or not really. Some of the leftover riflemen I just directly transferred over to the west. So there's 2 ways of doing it. There's the strategic mode, and then there's just the manual move mode. I don't think that necessarily either one's better than the other. But long story shortened up a bit without prattling on too much. Italy was moving troops back and forth between their African holdings. And I guess at some point, or at the end of last turn, when the French, or I guess when the British turn came up, they saw an Italian transport fleet close to Malta. I don't know where exactly, but it was not escorted. I think that's one of the key things. It wasn't accompanied by any destroyers or any military ships of any kind. It was completely unescorted. And that to me is a very, very key point. So Great Britain did what they are allowed to do. They declared war. And they obliterated that transport fleet. And I guess, I don't know where exactly the territorial holdings of Italy were before this turn, but I suspect that the British have pushed back quite a bit. Because if I'm not mistaken, this is probably all the British advance right here, these 5 hexes. And Italy has already admitted that they were caught very off guard by this. So the Italian forces are now at war with the Allies. So naturally enough, they asked for an alliance with Germany, which I'm sure will be honored because that's the same player. So that's the objective facts of it, as far as I can tell. Other things to consider off camera between the last recording and this one is that France has really made a very strong push into the west. You can see that Stuttgart is now actually French holding. It's French territory. Furthermore, you can see Luxembourg, which originally was German, has also been taken by France, retaken. So this is actually going to put quite a big dampener on the German on their production, because Stuttgart is a city. I think cities. Well, here we go. This is a large city. Let's try to get a normal city. So Rostov. Let's just take a look at Rostov. It's 1,500 production points that they're being denied. Certainly it's not the end, because Berlin, I mean, they have a lot of cities still. But it is a loss of production very early, and Luxembourg's production probably gets reset. Any of the fighting causes these cities to take damage. Yeah, we don't know the strength of the city, but we can probably assume it's pretty low. Okay, so with those two things in mind, that's going to have a huge impact on what we do this turn, but I just want to kind of give a very, like, my opinion of this was not very high. I don't think it was very good of the Allies to attack Italy. It just, to me, it defies everything about the peace in our time narrative, which history wove for us. And this is supposed to be a game which more or less follows history. Now, obviously, you have to deviate from history, because otherwise there's no point in just playing the exact same game. Although, I mean, that's fine if you are just playing in single player and you want to just mimic the Allies, or mimic the Russians. But in a multiplayer series, obviously you have to allow for a divergence of history. Otherwise, there's no point for the Axis player to play. He has no chance unless you can let him do something different. But I feel like there's certainly a difference of playing within the spirit of the world and really going beyond that to seek a benefit. I think that this was going beyond it to seek a benefit. Of course, Italy is going to be moving troops back and forth between their African holdings and the mainland. Of course. I mean, Malta should be... it should be no strange sight to Malta to see Italian ships with troops passing by. I'm sure that was the case, or maybe they didn't sail exactly past Malta, because Malta's... Yeah, I mean, maybe even a little bit west of this even, but there was a lot of ships that would have sailed over to Ethiopia in that area when Italy was at war with them, which didn't happen very long ago, just 2 years. Anyway, I just feel like it doesn't. It's a benefit to the Allies, but it's a needless benefit that could destabilize the game. Specifically, what I mean by that is it could cause the Allies to just steamroll the Axis, and then we don't have a game. Excuse me real fast, let me take a drink. So that's kind of the reason why I was a little disappointed with that. Right now, I could, if I wanted to. Kaunas is completely open, I think. Well, I know because there's a discussion going on between me and Germany. That I could attack the Germans seeing that they're weak here. That's the smart thing for me to do. And maybe I should do that. If we sense the weakness here, that's definitely the best way for the Russians to gain territory, is just to attack in. Now, I think CDE Young has kind of advised me against doing that. He says that I need to prepare. I think it's good advice, too, that I need to sit back. I have a huge combat penalty. However, it's by Germany's own admission that if I attacked right now, the game would be over. So at some point, you have to kind of put in these balances, these checks and balances yourself, to not allow one... If the game is not balanced to the point, or if a player even makes a mistake, too much of a mistake, I don't know, it's a debatable thing whether or not you should... I would say the taking of the Western German provinces was a mistake on Rufus's part, Rufus Firefly. But I would say this aggression by the Allies against the Italians was unnecessary, ahistorical warmongering, which it doesn't fit the British. In my opinion, it doesn't fit the British mentality at the time. It's not something that... It's not historically plausible, in my opinion. I'm not an expert, but just from all the things you read... Again, just to mention that this was before Anschluss, and I incorrectly mentioned that last time, that we had Anschluss already and Austria was already German, but it's not true. You can see Vienna is its own neutral area. So this is before any of these things, where everyone was really very passive about what the Germans were doing until, I think, not even Austria. Austria was the first eyebrow-raising scenario, but really it was Czechoslovakia which caused people to start digging in. Okay, these guys really are serious. So I think it's when that happened that people started to dig their heels into the ground saying no more. which is why you saw Poland led to the outbreak of war. But since we didn't have those events, it just I don't think I don't think it's even that difficult to say that if those things hadn't happened, and this is the Italians who stayed out of the war and had nobody was aggressive against them from the Allies until the Italians decided to enter with the Germans. Was it 1940? And now, I don't want to think about it in terms of 1940 because our time scale is already off 1938, but you can just think about it around the time Paris fell. That is when Italy wanted to enter the war, and not before that. So the Allies had the chance to attack Italy earlier as well. They probably saw, troops moving around, but it just doesn't make sense to me. I feel like it kind of ruins the game a bit. And I hope that the game still has a lot of life left in it, that we don't face a kind of a dud Axis player because of these heavy assaults. And I just want to go back to this point. If everything was just about taking as much territory as possible, like the Allied player is doing, I myself should just end the game. I should just attack in and I should end the game. So you can make the argument that I should do that then. And then the German player, obviously it would just be an instant loss for the Axis. And it would just be a race between the Allies and I, who gets to Berlin first. I'd much rather play out the game in something that more resembles what happened in history. Germany is under no compulsion to attack me at any specific time. And of course I will know that is coming. So I will be prepared, much more prepared than the Soviet forces actually were. But the German forces are going to know that I'm more prepared. So, anyways, without further ado, I just kind of got lost in that whole thing. But what am I actually going to do this turn? Let's just show you. We're going to break our peace once again. I'm kind of doing this to help the Axis. But I also want to increase my bargaining chips. So Germany and I are starting to discuss the possibility. He already said that he can't go to war with me. He said this directly to me in a message, that he can't go to war with me because he's already losing on the West. So if we go to war, he just loses. And out of respect for that, especially because he's been so nice about game balance, I feel like he's a very honorable player. So I'm going to try to respect that as much as possible. I'm actually going to try to help him in Poland. I would like to see the game balance back out. I would like to see the Axis take France. I would like to see World War II. At least something that resembles World War II. And I can also gain the benefit. Okay, I don't really need the supplies from Krakow, but I think I can take Krakow, and that'll at least... it should hurt the the French efforts in Poland, at least a bit. So despite the fact that we just declared war and then also declared peace, or asked for peace, and all the pieces were given, you can see that right now we're at peace with everyone. Well, once again, we're going to declare war on France. It's going to put us back at war with everyone. I will offer peace back to China and Great Britain at the end of this term, but I probably will stay in this war with against Poland until they are completely eliminated. So we can move our artillery in. I think most of my artillery is going to end up going up here to Warsaw. I would like to bombard Warsaw. I don't think we even need to bombard this unit once. It's the remnants of Lvov's militia defense. So I guess I'm just going to attack. I'm actually going to move this cavalry over to help. Very good. Okay, well, that actually was really helpful. We see quite a lot of information from that. So yeah, they're really worn down. We're just going to attack. Oh, let's get these guys. Oh, I can actually attack with this guy as well. He won't be good for much else. How many do I want to attack with? Maybe 4? Actually, I want to attack with a lot of people because all the rest of the people are going to move on, and we'll try to take Krakow. Okay, that's exactly what I expected. Was just the total annihilation of those forces. We move in with everyone who attacked. And even people who didn't attack if we think we need more. I'm going to keep this unit here because he can't move and attack anyway. Neither can the cavalry, so we'll leave them here. I don't think we need this help for Krakow, so I'll move this unit north. Now maybe we need one more unit for here, and I'm actually going to bombard. Let's just get them to be bombarded by some light. Oh, light bombers, that was them. Okay, so we'll just get them to be attacked by these light bombers. Goal being to weaken any of these units. I don't see any weakening going on, just 2 maybe. It didn't really help. But I still think our strength is superior. Yeah, it didn't really help much, did it? Let's see if we can't break through. It looks like we will. Okay, very good. So we lost 4 units. That's acceptable losses to me. And now we will occupy Krakow. And again, the first thing I want to remember to do is set the HQ over to our main headquarters in Moscow. One of the units here ought to move in here, so we can start holding that line. Otherwise, a lot of people should be moving in to help defend this hex, and I also want to bombard Warsaw. This is going to reduce the production capability of Warsaw, which is not good because I actually want the production high when the Germans take over. But I don't feel like we're going to be able to take Warsaw anytime soon, and then the French will be using that to reinforce the Polish forces until we can take it. So it's probably not. I already actually asked Germany if it's okay if I bombard Poland, or maybe I can't remember what it was. Did I just say that I would? That's my opinion on it, though, is that it would be a good idea to do. So I will be doing it. Okay, so that's that so far. I could probably move this guy up. I'll keep him here. Oh, we need to get him back onto rail. So there, like so. And yeah, because he was off the rail. What else? So I'm going to shift some forces south to help out, but basically that's the entire turn. That's what I wanted to accomplish. Yeah, that really is it. And so these guys can actually start doing something. They don't have any points whatsoever. I don't even think we can get a single rifleman out of them. No. Alright, I'm just going to switch them over to... It doesn't matter. They could just as well produce nothing. So I'll just give them some production briefly. 25 points, not going to make a huge difference. Obviously, just pretty much nothing. I'll give them something, but eventually we'll retask them. I'll probably retask these. Actually, they might be just political point builders, and I'll have the main infantry being built in my main cities behind the front lines. So the exciting news is that Molotov-Ribbentrop is back on the table. Because of our aggressive maneuver, we're now negotiating with Germany where to drop the lines of Poland when all is said and done here. And that's really exciting. I think what it's going to end up doing, and my proposal has been that we just draw it at the line of 70. So you can see that 71-26. Here, this is the line of 70. 70-25, 70-24, 70-23, 70-22. And this is 69, 69, 69. My proposal is that he take everything from 69 west, and I take everything from 70 east. He's already offered to avoid hostilities to give me Kaunas, and I think he wanted to hold on to Bialystok, and he didn't mention Warsaw. So my proposal, I think that... Oh, did he mention the Warsaw? I mean, without giving away the entire discussion going on here, basically, I'm proposing this line because it gives him Warsaw, which I think he can use. Hopefully he can use to help him with his kind of stalled offensive in the west. But it'll also give me a huge, nice buffer. You know, this kind of line, I will hold Kaunas, I will hold Riga, I'll be able to set up a secondary line somewhere back here. You know, back by Vilnius, we'll have a secondary line so that once it'll be defense in depth, as is the Russian way, where we can hopefully avoid just a single offensive blowing through all the way to Minsk. Yeah. I could speculate more about that on camera, but basically that's just what I want to do. So the other things we need to do is the kind of diplomacy thing. We need to play the Finland game to get the United States removed. Okay, they lost some points. We'll probably also try to increase our points with Finland, although I don't know if that's the thing we want to do or not. Okay, good. We want to improve our economy. We want to improve a city. Oh, air quality, definitely. So we're finally up to 80%. And we'll probably improve a city as well. Just grab one in the east, in the middle area, so that it doesn't get attacked by... I mean, if they happen to make massive inroads to Moscow, past Minsk and all that, I don't want any of these cities to have the extra production. So we'll start building up the production base in the Urals. And that is probably going to conclude our turn. Oh, the one last thing I didn't do is I probably should do an air raid on Warsaw to try to soften up the units a little bit more and to eliminate any more production that we can. Okay, good. Actually took a casualty there, but that's okay. That's a heavy bomber, actually. That's kind of sad. So we did a little bit more location damage and killed a few extra units. Nothing too spectacular, but we're just going to nickel and dime Warsaw to try to give the Germans a good fighting chance to take it. So that's going to conclude this episode. I hope you're enjoying the series still. It's really just, like I said, an after-action report. I already know what I was going to do this turn. We talk a lot about how the Italians have been attacked by the British. I try to mention that objectively, but really I have a really strong opinion against that. I don't feel like it was an appropriate move. But it's not outside of the game rules. And we didn't specify, it wasn't a house rule that Italy can't be attacked first. Although if I was to set up my own house rules, I would probably state that it's very unlike the Allies to attack a neutral. In fact, the Allies are actually unable to attack any neutral nations. But just because Italy is a major nation, it's not considered a neutral nation. I don't think it should have been exempt from that, though. It just doesn't make sense to me. But okay, so I'll stop hopping on that. Hopefully I won't have to talk about that ever again. I feel like our situation is really good. I mean, obviously, if you have a weak Axis player, you have a strong Russian player just by default. That we're strong or weak only in relation to Germany. And since Germany is weak right now, that makes us really strong. It might be unfortunate. It might be kind of a stomp of a game, which would be sad. Because it's a big investment of time even getting this far. So you want a good fight. And that's what I'm trying to help get Germany, is a fighting chance. But we'll see how it all plays out in the next episodes. So thanks for watching, and until the next one, take care.